Lightworkers. My name is Elizabeth Kristen. Welcome to my channel, Bridge to 5D. So I did a video previously talking about the quantum financial system and NESARA GESARA, and this forms perspective on sort of the financial technologies that will be on New Earth. And so if you want to check that out, that's one of my previous videos. But I wanted to talk more about abundance and New Earth, and I think that's going to be a big focus of this channel. And so I said in my other video that when beings describe the vibration, the frequency, and put a label on spirit, higher self, soul, who you truly are, they use the label unconditional love. And that's a great translation of the energy. But if you parse it down and get more specific, the essence of spirit, of soul, of higher self is abundance. It is your very essence. And so when you look at beings that have attained fifth dimensional consciousness, that have walked this planet, and so I'll use one example, Eckhart Tolle. So Eckhart Tolle had an experience of enlightenment during the dark night of the soul. So he has this experience where he discovers who he is and what he really is. And so for about 2 years, he sat on a park bench and was integrating that sort of self-realization, that enlightenment experience. And he said with the power of now, he felt like it wanted to be created through him. And that's sort of what I feel. I feel the same way with these videos. It's this divine wisdom, this intelligence just flows through me. And my only job is to turn the camera on and let it flow. And so as someone who oh crap, I'm just trying to remember how old I am. I was born in 1980. 42. No. 41, because my birthday's at the end of September. See? Huh? This time thing's getting tricky as you go up the vibrational scale, isn't it? And so for the 42 years I've been on, 41 and 3/4 that I've been on this planet, I have identified so strongly and resonated so strongly with the word introvert that when I sort of received this impulse that I was to put these teachings out there and that I was to make videos, my initial instinct was like, no, I don't want to do that. That sounds awful. I don't want to be part of that. But what you realize is sort of your persona and your ego was structured in an inverted matrix. The third and fourth dimension are an inverted matrix. Up is down, good is bad, right is wrong, war is peace. And so what you saw in those inverted matrices was those beings that were most service to others tended to be those that lived in lack. And those beings that were more service to self tend to live in wealth and abundance. It's not a general rule, but you're just looking at sort of the nature of the third and fourth dimension where you have, teachers and nurses and all of these beings that provide a great service to humanity, and they're, notoriously underpaid. Whereas you have, rappers and, sports athletes and CEO of Big Pharma who are living in wealth and abundance. And that's because we're in an inverted matrix. So in the inverted matrix where my persona and my ego was structured, introversion was sort of the label I lived through. So who you were in the third and fourth dimension, it's hard to explain. You're still going to be the same being, but what you lose are the beliefs and the egoic structure that was created with that inverted matrix. So like take for example, schools. So schools, the public school system was created in an inverted matrix. It's an inverted matrix system. Okay, so what do I mean by that? It means at the very top of the pyramid, the very top, who's in charge and has all the control is at the federal level. And then that power is devolved down to the state. And then that power is devolved down to the district. And then that power is devolved down to administration, and then principals, and then teachers. And at the very bottom, who has the least say and the least control and the least authority are the parents and the students. So that's an inverted matrix. Fifth dimension, you're going to flip it upside down. Who's at the top? The children and the parents have the most authority and the most influence in that system. So that's what I mean when you see, like, when you think of wealth and abundance and the frequency of money within the inverted matrix, you have light workers that have really struggled with lack and insecurity. And in the fifth dimension, where the best way I can describe it, the matrix is right side right, those beings that are enlightened, self-aware, holding fifth dimensional consciousness, embodying fifth dimensional consciousness, experience wealth and abundance in the fifth dimension the way they did not in the third and the fourth dimension. And the reason they didn't experience it in the third and fourth dimension was due to the inverted matrix. Now, the inverted matrix is not out there. It's within each human being, as within, so without. So the inverted matrix, the sort of upside down belief systems, are in you and then projected out there, and the world of form and your experience of reality is actually an experience of your own belief systems. So if you want to know, what do you believe about money? Look at your bank account, look at your wealth, look at your experience with abundance. You know all your beliefs about money. You want to know what your beliefs about health are? You know, what is the state of your form? Because the physical form represents every thought you've ever had about your body, about health, about disease. Your bank account represents every single thought you've ever had about wealth, abundance, money, lack, insecurity. And so that will be a direct reflection back to you of your belief systems. And so you can say thoughts create your reality or beliefs create your reality. Both are saying the same thing, and I would say the most accurate way that I can translate the energy is thoughts that you believe create your reality. So if someone were to tell you, close your eyes and visualize a pink elephant in the room, when you open your eyes, it's not going to be there because you didn't truly believe there was going to be a pink elephant. But if you get let's say you have the experience of receiving an unexpected bill, the stories you may tell yourself is, oh my God, how am I going to pay this? I'm so sick of living paycheck to paycheck. You might be projecting into the future, weeks and months of suffering and pain as you struggle to pay this unexpected bill. Now, those thoughts you believe. So those thoughts are going to be creating your experience. Okay, so anyway, back to where I was going here with Eckhart Tolle. And so Eckhart Tolle had an experience of enlightenment, self-realization, connecting more to who he truly is and allowing more of who he truly is to reside in the body. So soul, spirit, its very essence is abundance. When that energy moves into the form, now you're resonating with wealth, abundance, and that will be what you experience. So Eckhart Tolle did not set out to become a multimillionaire. It was a side effect of his enlightenment, attaining fifth dimensional consciousness, whatever you want to call it, whatever label you want to put on it. And so in that, you cannot experience something you are not the vibration of. You cannot avoid experiencing something you are not the vibration of. So with self-realization, enlightenment, fifth dimensional consciousness, you could run as far as you want, as quickly as possible, away from wealth, away from abundance, away from money. And what will end up happening is just when you stop to catch your breath and you look down, it's sitting right at your feet. The entire time you thought you were running away from it, you were running right to it. So it is not going to be anything like abundance and creating wealth in your reality is not going to be anything like the third and the fourth dimension, the inverted matrix. It's the exact opposite. It's effortless. It's unavoidable. So Eckhart Tolle is a good example of a multimillionaire who experienced wealth and abundance as a consequence of his enlightenment. You can look at Byron Katie. Byron Katie's another one. She went through the dark night of the soul and was living in a halfway house, sleeping on the floor, and had somewhat a similar experience to Eckhart Tolle. And same thing happened with her. She did not set out to, speak all over the world to crowds of thousands. She did not set out to be a multi-million-dollar speaker and author. It was simply the side effect, the consequence, the unavoidable sort of effect that having more of who you truly are in this form is going to do. You're the best way I can describe it is like you're going to fall ass backwards into it. You're going to look out into the world of form and see a million ways to make $1 million. And that's going to be that's going to be a big switch for light workers. A big switch for light workers who, in the inverted matrix, it was almost like your service to others, your empathy, being energetically sensitive worked against you when in your attempts to create the experience of wealth and abundance. In the fifth dimension, it's just the opposite. It's simply a consequence of being in the fifth dimension and being who you truly are. You're not going to have to work for it. You're not going to have to figure it out. It was the same thing that happened to Anita Moorjani. I think I'm pronouncing her last name correctly, who had a near-death experience. And she said she knew when she was across the veil on the other side having her near-death experience, when she was in the light, she said she knew that if she went back to her body, she would heal, not in months, not in weeks, but instantly. She knew she would be healed. And she also knew that there was something for her to do on this planet, and she would not have to figure it out. She would not have to work for it. It would be effortless. And so the side effect of Anita Moorjani connecting with her divine self, connecting with her spirit, was writing multiple best-selling books and becoming, financially abundant. And so those that are in the third and fourth dimension, well, nobody's in the third dimension. I'll just explain what I mean by that. And then every person is going to have a different perspective because they're resonating at a different frequency. So the way I view the third, fourth, and fifth dimension, every civilization starts in the third dimension. Around the 1980s, the third dimension was sucked up into the fourth dimension. Now, the physical form, everybody's physical form on Earth, from this form's perspective, the model that I use, is resonating in the fourth dimension. However, the third dimensional frequency of thinking is still very much alive and well. And so you can have beings that are in the fourth dimension physically, but their consciousness and their frequency of thinking is in the third dimension. And those beings whose physical bodies are resonating in the fourth dimension, but their thoughts are in alignment with third dimensional frequency thoughts, the form is suffering. The form is struggling because the level of consciousness and the frequency of thoughts is below the form of the body. So those beings are experiencing dis-ease in the form. And so the third dimension gets sucked up into the fourth dimension. And you use the wisdom of the third dimension and the fourth dimension in the fourth dimension to push you through that barrier between the fourth and the fifth dimension. And so I think I'm going to spend a lot of time talking about this because I think it's something that light workers need to be reminded of constantly. You're not going to have to work for it. Lack, insecurity, fear-based belief systems, you understand to the depths of your being, your thoughts create your reality. And not only are you worthy of abundance, not only is it your divine nature, not only is it your inheritance, it is not something you need to work for. It's not something you need to earn. It's simply a consequence of you being who you are. And only in the third and the fourth dimension can you have a form that has the limiting beliefs of lack and insecurity so spirit, let's just say, let me phrase it this, sorry, I'm jumping all over the place. So you have spirit, soul, who you truly are, higher self. And that light is projected through the emotional body and then to the physical body. So if you have a ton of blocks and trauma held in the emotional body, that limits the amount of light that can get to the physical body. And so as you clear those blocks out of the emotional body, and more light, more and more spirit can flow into the physical form, you experience the vibration of what you truly are. And only in the third and fourth dimension can you sort of pretend that lack exists, pretend that insecurity is a thing. Because when you get to the fifth dimension, you realize that it is, I'm going to try to find the best way to describe this energy. It is your obligation. It is your responsibility to create an abundant life. And what do I mean by that? When Jesus Christ said, have an abundant life, he meant abundant in all areas. You look at your health and the fitness of the form, and you think, who could ask for more? I have so much energy. I feel amazing. I am abundant in health. You look at your relationships and you think, who could want for more? Who could want for more loving beings to share their life with? And then you look at your bank account. More than I need. More than enough. And so that is what Christ meant when he said, have an abundant life. That is what it means. The kingdom of heaven is within. So in the fifth dimension, you don't have people in the fifth dimension. You don't have human beings. You have a bunch of souls walking around in bodies, a bunch of spirits expressing through form. And so when you shift your identity, which is what happens when you go from the fourth dimension to the fifth dimension. So in the fourth dimension, you can identify with ego. You can identify with the lack and the limiting beliefs and believe they are portions of who you are. But that illusion can't make the barrier of the fifth dimension. You realize that those thoughts that were lack, insecurity, limiting beliefs were not aspects of who you were. They were simply programs. And it is as easy as deleting a program on a computer as it is deleting a program in the form. And so once those limiting beliefs of lack and insecurity are gone, and spirit can focus through the emotional body, flow right through the emotional body to the physical body, the divine essence of who you are and your vibration, like I said, with Eckhart Tolle, Byron Katie, those are just two examples. You can't not experience your own abundance. It is as within, so without. When you're resonating with that frequency, connected to your divinity, you cannot not experience abundance in your reality. So I think that's going to be something that lightworkers get really excited about, because not only is abundance and wealth your divine birthright, but doing what you love, fulfilling your purpose, being excited about your service, it's like, I think a lot of light workers are going to have the experience in the fifth dimension where they walk around and go, I can't believe I get paid for this shit. I can't believe I get paid for this shit. Because you're doing what you love. So even the concept or the idea of work is gone in the fifth dimension. So, well, I hope that perspective on abundance and wealth in the fifth dimension helps some light workers out there. All right. Godspeed, Starseeds.